interstitial lung disease. How's it, guys? How's it going? Dr. Ryan here again. Thank you for joining me on yet another high-impact algorithm in internal medicine. This time we're looking at our second one in the department of, or the discipline of pulmonology, ILDs. All right, thank you for once again watching the video and liking and subscribing and sharing. I hope you fasten your seatbelts, man, and put your helmets on because this is going to be a bumpy ride. Interstitial lung disease describes a group of heterogeneous diseases of the lung parenchyma that produce characteristic clinical, physiological, imaging, and histologic manifestations. The most common clinical manifestations of ILD include dyspnea, dry cough, bibasilar, fine, end inspiratory crepitations, and digital clubbing. Interstitial lung disease can be acute and rapidly progressive or insidious in onset, depending on the subtype you're looking at. High-resolution CT imaging is useful in the evaluation of ILD and can identify patterns of findings associated with particular subtypes of ILD. Interstitial lung disease usually manifests as a restrictive lung disease with impaired diffusion capacity on pulmonary function testing, the infamous DLCO. Bronchoscopy or surgical biopsy, including VATS biopsy, which is video-assisted thoracoscopic surgical biopsy, can provide a histological diagnosis and can also evaluate for alternative etiologies like infection. ILD can be, as we see on the left, idiopathic or could be secondary to other conditions. On the right, idiopathic ILD is not associated with any identifiable secondary condition. Right? The various idiopathic forms of ILD are associated with distinctive imaging and histological patterns. The two most common morphological patterns of ILD are UIP and NSIP, as we will see. And secondary ILD can occur as a result of exposure or systemic disease. Okay, clinical manifestations and prognosis of ILD are highly variable and depend on the specific subtype we're looking at, ranging from self-limited and reversible through to rapidly progressive and fatal. So let's sink our teeth into this algorithm. So like we said broadly, on the left idiopathic, on the right secondary to other conditions or disease processes. Now, there's often this whole hodgepodge alphabet soup of idiopathic ILDs. By and large, the commonest one being idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And then we also have non-specific interstitial pneumonia, NSIP, cryptogenic organized pneumonia, lymphoid interstitial pneumonia, acute interstitial pneumonia, chronic eosinophilic pneumonia. A lot of this has to do with histological appearance, which characterizes the form of ILD, the idiopathic ILD that we're looking at. Then we have the whole spectrum of about 16 causes of ILD secondary to other conditions or disease processes. And this is broadly categorized into that associated with systemic disease versus that associated with exposure. So under exposure, we have the iatrogenic, hypersensitivity, pneumoconiosis, and others, right? Under iatrogenic, we speak into medications. A classic example of this is, for instance, methotrexate, which can cause interstitial lung disease. Amiodarone can cause it. Radiation as well. Post-radiation ILD is also quite common. Hypersensitivity pneumonitis as well, like farmer's lung, secondary to exposure to thermophilic actinomycetes, and bird fancier's lung are examples there. Pneumoconiosis, we look at things like silicosis, co-workers pneumoconiosis, borreliosis also is in here, asbestosis. And others we have, example, respiratory bronchiolitis associated interstitial lung disease, desquamative interstitial pneumonia, pulmonary Langerhans cell histiocytosis, and even IV drug use as well can lead to this. So under exposure, you can think about 11 different causes, right? And ILD secondary to other systemic disease include the following. Sarcoidosis, we know, which can give this. The classic thing, there's 4 different stages based on the chest X-ray, and scleroderma as well can give this to you. Rheumatoid arthritis. This is all probably in the domain of rheumatology and connective tissue disease largely. Dermatomyositis, polymyositis, SLE, Sjogren's syndrome, mixed connective tissue disease, and vascular disease as well. So you got 16 secondary causes and 10 idiopathic forms of ILD, giving you prospective 26 different causes for interstitial lung disease. Now, as always, I'd like to leave you with some inspiration this morning. A river cuts through rock, not because of power, but because of persistence. So if you are consistent at anything, at any goal that you commit yourself to achieving in life, you will be successful. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean upon your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your steps. So I hope that this has been encouraging and that you have been edified through this algorithm. Tomorrow we're moving on to our third algorithm in pulmonology, where we will be discussing an approach to hypoxemia, another crazy one. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you soon.